This lesson will discuss streams. Topics include: what is streams? What are the major components of streams? What wrappers are available? And how can the use of streams help with website development? The first question is, what is streams? Streams is an underlying subsystem which allows the file commands to operate various sources of data as if they were files. The sources are indicated by a component which is referred to as a wrapper. The major components of streams include the wrapper, the transport, the filter, and the context. What wrappers are available depends on the installation on your particular server. Looking first at the documentation, we can see that the protocols or transports and wrappers are indicated on php.net, wrappers.php. You'll notice that they include the file system itself, which is the default, HTTP, FTP, various PHP streams, compression streams such as zlib and rar. FAR is another sort of archive, but specifically for PHP. A FAR file is similar to a jar file in Java in that it takes the entire PHP application and compresses it and puts it into one single file. glob is for directory searching. There's an RFC 2397 compliant data stream and various others as well. Moving to our first code example. In this example, we are going to use the FTP stream to access a file on an FTP website. In order to use the stream, you have to know the DNS address or IP address of the FTP server, the username, and the password. The syntax is ftp:// which identifies the wrapper. You follow that with the username, a colon, and the password. Following that is an @ followed by the DNS or IP address of the server, and then the path to the file. You could use this inside an fopen command just as if you were opening any other file on the file system. You would also then need the mode as well. In this example, we're using the R mode, read mode. Otherwise, the stream is considered just as if it were a file, which means we can use standard file commands such as feof, fread, and fclose. Notice that FTP is considered an unsecure protocol. Therefore, you may be interested in using SFTP instead. The syntax is very similar. The difference is we're using port 22, which is common for SFTP or secure FTP. You'll also notice for the wrapper, we need to indicate the extension first, which is the SSH2 extension. The other thing that needs to be noted is that the SSH2 PHP extension must be downloaded, compiled, and enabled for this to work. Moving over to the browser, let's look at the first example. So as you can see, we are accessing a remote server. We're pulling up the file gettysburg.txt, and here's our famous Gettysburg address one more time. You'll notice that PHP info can be used to give us information about streams, including the various wrappers that are available on this particular server, the transports, in this case TCP and UDP, and finally the filters, which will be discussed shortly. Moving now to our second code example. In this example, we're going to use the bzip2 stream in order to write to a compressed file and then later read from the compressed file. In this case, we're using the file putContents and file getContents commands to write to the compression stream and to read from the compression stream. You'll notice that the file putContents command and the file getContents command are just as you would expect. The only difference is that we're prepending a different wrapper. So rather than using the file system, which is the default wrapper, we are using the bzip2 wrapper in its place. Moving over to the browser, let's look at the result. So at the top, we have the compressed Gettysburg address. On the bottom, we read the compressed file using a bzip2 stream, and this is the result. Moving now to the third code example, we are introducing the concept of applying filters. The filters that are available on your particular server can be shown by using the php info command, which we are showing on line 32. If the filter has not already been registered, it's important to make sure that you use the stream filter register command to make PHP aware of any new filters which you are introducing. Otherwise, you can simply use the stream filter append command to append a filter to a given stream. On line 8, we're opening up a file system stream. On line 14, we're adding the string to lower filter to the stream. We are then using the fpassthrough command to display all of the contents. Because the contents pass through the stream will pass through the filter, which would mean we would then expect to see the contents in lowercase. On line 18, we rewind the file pointer so that we can start again. On line 21, we append a new filter, string to upper. Again, we use fpassthrough to display the results. Bear in mind that because we have not removed the first filter, effectively both filters will be activated. So the contents will go through the lowercase filter first and then the uppercase filter. We then close the file handle and look at the results. Moving now to the browser, let's look at the third example. So as you can see, as before, we've got the Gettysburg Address. In the first case, it goes through only the string to lower filter. In the second case, it goes through both filters, but obviously the second filter is the one that is going to be effective. In review, what is Streams? Streams is a subsystem which underlies all PHP file operations. What are the major components of Streams? The wrapper, the context, the transport, and the filter. The context was not discussed, but the context is simply parameters that are specific to the wrapper. Thus, context is wrapper specific. What wrappers are available? Depending on your server, you will most likely have file, which is the default, HTTP, FTP, SSH2, and others, depending on the extensions that are available. How can the use of Streams help with website development? Streams allows you to access local files, as well as remote files on other servers. It's oftentimes of interest to pull files from remote servers in order to perform analysis and also in order to retrieve files from storage, such as using the FTP or SFTP mechanisms. This concludes our discussion of understanding streams.